Hello, everybody. Well,
Hello.
welcome to another live show, and welcome to the Girl Who Kept the Castle live show with Tiffany. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I was so excited when I heard from Tiffany that she was also reading the arc by the author. The author sent us both the arcs. I was like, so we decided to do a live show, even though we're super late. The book's already been published, but that just means probably, hopefully, some of you guys were able to read it with us. So,
Yes.
so leave us some thoughts in the chat if you're here to chat, and if not, we hope you enjoy listening. And we're gonna get started today with sort of our elevator pitches for The Girl Who Kept the Castle. We have a troll already.
No one's going to judge me here for that, Peter. That's the thing. I don't have a copy of that, but I think he thinks that people will judge me for that. He came to me earlier and he's like, I saw someone talking about this book. And I was like, I think I've seen that around. I'm like, no, you have not. They'll see. Feel free. Just keep it to yourself, please, if you're going to judge me.
Man. So, okay, let's talk elevator pitches because the author pitched it to both of us in like the perfect way. We both instantly were like, yes, because of the way she pitched it. Yes. But it's also really accurate to the book. Her pitch was super, super accurate. So, do you want to start with your elevator pitch?
Yeah, sure. So this book is a very magical and cozy story that is a very reminiscent of Howl's Moving Castle and also Tuesdays at the Castle, which is a lesser known fantasy series. So when I saw Ryan Graudin compare this book to Tuesdays at the Castle, I was really excited because that is a middle grade fantasy series in which there is a castle that shifts and changes every Tuesday. It will like add or remove rooms and change the way that the castle is laid out. And so the main character is trying to map the castle. And when she said it was close to that series and compared it to that, I was like, okay, I'm in. And then I read Howl's Moving Castle this summer and I'm like, okay, I'm even more in. So that was like the perfect pitch to compare it to those two books.
Yes. I think she described it as like cozy fantasy, like Howl's Moving Castle, kind of like what you were saying. And that immediately, like in the title of it, it just brought me back to Sophie cleaning Howl's Moving Castle, but it really expanded on her story if the castle was like more complicated, if the castle was Howl's Moving Castle, it's like obviously the focal point of the whole story, but this castle is really different. There's a lot more to explore. It's changing, kind of like what you're saying. So the castle itself is really a fun character in this book. And I think there's hopefully more we can explore in future books. And we'll talk about that a little later in the stream. But Howl's Moving Castle also was written from the female perspective most of all, but I would say Hal was the focal character of that book, whereas in this case, no, it's the girl who is the focal character of the book. So I kind of enjoyed that.
Yes. And I totally agree with you saying that like the castle in this book feels like an actual character because our main character, Faye, is actually able to communicate with the castle and tell it like what she needs for it to like help her, which is super cool.
Yes. She has like a real relationship with the castle.
And that's present in Tuesdays at the Castle too. So I was really excited to see that be an element here too.
I love it. I feel like you mentioned another book too where there were similar elements like related to the plot.
Yes. So that was another book that she included in the pitch she gave me was Nevermore
Mhm.
by, I think, is that Jessica Townsend? I don't remember. But yeah, so that's another middle grade series. I felt like there was a little bit less correlations to Nevermore, which is why I didn't mention it in my elevator pitch. But I
Right.
think it has a lot of the same kind of found family elements, but Nevermore feels a bit more of a portal fantasy to me, where she kind of gets sucked into another world. So I didn't see quite as many parallels, but I still saw some. I just saw more with Tuesdays at the Castle and House Moving Castle.
I'm sorry. You had mentioned to me that the Goblet of Fire was what you saw some
Oh,
scenery, so that's what I
oh,
was going. I was going next.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
some major Harry Potter vibes for sure. But there is a magical competition, and I don't think that this is spoilery at all. We have a wizard who has died, and his ghost is still there, and he is searching for his successor. And so they have trials with these different people who would like to become the next wizard of the West. And the trials themselves reminded me of the Goblet of Fire.
Yes.
Magical competitions.
Yes. Excellent. So yeah, I feel like that was a pretty decent elevator pitch. We're
Yes,
yeah.
this is clearly Claire. That's Claire.
Okay.
My
Uh,
family's here in the chat.
welcome, Claire. Welcome. This is a book that I'm sure at some point you will be enjoying
Yeah,
as well.
I think she would like it.
um, so why don't we talk about the world building and magic? Because I think that was one of your favorite elements of this book.
It was. That was something that I just really, really loved. Within the first couple of chapters, we're introduced to the castle itself and to the grounds and all the magical things. So Faye's father is a gardener of these grounds, and he does all this magical care and stuff, which is super cool of different animals, like magical animals that live there, including a giant dragon, Cornelius, the composting dragon. And they feed him like kitchen scraps. And it's so fun. I just love how the magic works and how they do things like they paint the sunsets every night.
Yes.
And there's different things that they do as groundskeepers that have magic, even though they're not supposed to be doing magic because they're not wizards technically, but they do all kinds of magic to keep up with these magical grounds that they're taking care of. And
Mhm.
I just thought that all of that was so well done and like super immersive.
Yes. Oh, that's so true. Like I forgot about the sunsets until you mentioned it. Mm,
Yeah,
pristine.
a lot of fun elements.
Yes. I really enjoyed, and there's elements that it's like it's such a, like there's so much in there till so much in there still to explore
Yeah.
too. The way she writes certain things, it's like, oh my gosh, you could
Mhm.
write a whole story about Wizard West's closet, you know? So
Mhm. Or the
um
conservatory. Yeah, those are two areas that are like almost endless, it seems like.
yeah. Thank you. That was great. So what are some of the like favorite cozy elements about the book for you?
I think a huge one for me is the humor. I
Mm.
thought that this book was so, so funny. Just I mean, we start with let me see if I can find the first sentence actually. So the very first sentence of the book is Wizard West was dead for nearly an entire day before he noticed.
I
And that's
know.
where we start. And so I thought that the humor in this book was so good. Not just like, I mean, this is a middle grade fantasy, so it's going to be great for kids. But as an adult, I really enjoyed the fantasy of this. And I thought that that felt very cozy, along with the fact that we definitely have like some really strong found family elements with all the different people who live in this castle and are taking care of things for the wizard and are his servants and stuff, they are all like very close knit. And I think that that makes it a really cozy feel too.
Yes, that's so true. That's so true. I feel like cozy is so good for middle grade. Like I feel
Yeah.
like middle grade has gotten like really hard edged, which sometimes I think there's a place for that.
Yeah.
Neil Gaiman style fantasy. I mean, there's absolutely a place for that. But cozy middle grade is just this was just so perfect in that way. And I
Yeah.
thought the fact that the ghost is looking for his successor and like that there's a lot death isn't as scary in this book as it is in a lot of like adult books and literature. It's more like his ghost is still here to choose his successor. I just thought, oh, that's so cozy.
Yeah. And I love the fact too that he's ashamed of the fact that he died in his sleep. And so he
Yeah.
doesn't want anyone to know that he is dead when they are holding these competitions. He's trying to make himself look alive. And this is at the beginning of the book, so also not a spoiler, but he's trying to make himself look alive because he's like, well, they can't know that I died in my sleep. That's so embarrassing. It's so boring.
Yeah.
That's not how a wizard should die.
Yes. That's his biggest concern.
Yeah, and like his fashion and how he looks. Like he is very vain.
Yes. Very vain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was wondering what Claire was doing. This is what she was doing. She was typing out all the emojis.
There's a lot of emojis.
And I thought the map too was like super cozy. Like all the rounded edges of everything. It was very like bubbly and all the names, like because I listened to the audiobook, I didn't realize the spelling of cellar door until I just looked at the map and I was like, that's so great. It's like a kid wrote the name cellar door,
Yes. Oh man. I love it.
The art
it was very cute.
Yes. And the fact that the dragon in the book, I mean, it's a fantasy. Of course we want to see a dragon. This was like such a unique take on a dragon that I had never heard of before. Neil, this is like also in the first couple pages. Neil is a composting dragon, you know? He's not like fire breathing dragon that the knight needs to prove his valor against and save the princess. It's a totally different take on the dragon.
Yeah, and he has trees growing out of his back, and he's like super fertile land for them to plant anything on his back because he's a composting dragon. It's so cute.
So cute, so cozy. That's another word that you could use to describe this. Cute. It's like cute all the way through.
It is cute. There are some darker elements when we kind of get into the villainous part of the story. I thought that they were a little bit like creepy, but not like over the top creepy. Like perfect, like middle grade that it still feels cozy overall. It's not going to be one of those kind of like over the top middle grades. Because I think there are a lot of kids out there who enjoy fantasy, but maybe they don't want everything to feel like this, like everything is life or death and everyone's in danger all the time. It's kind of a nice mix in the story.
Yes. I bet this would be a great game. I was just thinking, because I know you love cozy gaming. Like, I feel like this would be a fantastic game. If someone ever wanted to make it into a game, please make it into a game.
It would be really, really fun. I wonder if maybe you could make it so you have control over, like what your castle looks like and how it expands and grows and decorating within that. That would be fun.
It could be like Harvest Moon in that you're like taking care of the castle and that's like your job. It's
like your farming is all on the back of Neil, the composting dragon.
Oh my gosh, this should be a cozy game for sure. Yeah. Somebody please do it. So we also had some like deeper themes going on in the book. And I don't know if we'll get spoilery yet, but if you are trying to avoid spoilers, I don't know if you would consider themes spoilery at all. I don't think Tiffany's theme is that she's going to be talking about, but mine might be a little bit. So
I have some quotes, so yeah, mine is going to be spoilery. So if you want to read this book and you haven't, now's a good time to click off.
Yes. Come back and talk about this later. Yes, Claire, you don't want to be spoiled. Okay, do you want to start with your theme?
Yeah. So one thing that we noticed in like the email that Ryan Graudin sent both of us is that she is a Christian. She doesn't write Christian fiction, but she is a believer. And actually in her acknowledgments, she ended with like Sola Deo Gloria, which is like all glory to God, which I thought was cool. But I noticed some really interesting like faith elements in this book that are much more subtle and not over the top. I don't think it's anything that like if you're not a Christian, these are not going to be things that bother you or like feel like they're preachy in any way. But like there's a couple of things. There's a quote on faith. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know where it is. It's something along the lines of, oh, here it is. It says, sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith. It's okay to not understand everything about everything. And I loved that line, but then even more so, that theme is like really prevalent at the end when they all band together to bind the Shadow Queen, and they all join hands. And it says, each person made the light brighter as it passed. They were a match trembling in the dark. They were a phoenix feather shining steadily. They were a dragon's breath blazing so wildly that Faith had to close her eyes. And so as they're like, they're banding together in unity to like cast the spell of light to bind the Shadow Queen. And I think that is just like a really powerful image of standing together in the darkness and shining light that I thought was really, really beautiful. And then also we were talking about Puck, the not cat.
Yes.
/ not cat, and how he was actually enslaved by the Shadow Queen and was an agent of darkness at one time, but he never asked to be. He was just like kind of roped into that, like kidnapped by her and forced into servitude, but he was able to break his way free and no longer be like an agent of shadow and darkness, but now he's fighting for the light and banding together with others. And even though he still looks like a shadow creature at times in the book, he's not. You know. And so I thought that was a really cool kind of redemptive thing, that is no longer evil or fighting for like evil things. So
I love that. That was amazing. Wow. I mean, you could write an essay on this. That is so cool. And see, listening on audiobook, a lot of it kind of went over my head, a lot of the stuff you were talking about. So, but when you've been talking about the cat, it's been reminding me so much of, I think his name is Mogget in the Abhorsen series. There's a cat who is more than he appears as well in the Abhorsen series. And now I'm wondering, oh my gosh, is this author like also talking about that? Has Ryan Graudin also read the Abhorsen series? When we were talking about books that it kind of reminds us of, I was trying to remember. It's like, what is it reminding me of? And that's what it is. And I feel like in that series too, I felt like there was some faith elements that I really appreciated. So, but anyways, that one was a lot darker though. That one's not middle grade at all. That one's very like YA. But
I actually have that trilogy, but I haven't read it yet.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. You should definitely read it. Oh my gosh, this made me laugh. This is from some Mad Libs that we did.
Yep. It's a throwback.
And Claire says she's staying. She's here for the ride. So
all right.
Awesome. Okay, so I noticed a lot while I was listening. There's a lot of really fun feminist elements. Like,
yes,
she mentioned, like, why is the word witch like more like like why do people look down on the word witch more than the word wizard? There's literally no difference except that a witch is a female wizard. So why do people look down on it? And I was like, that's so true. But I feel like in modern fantasy, witch is more like acceptable as a term. But in the past, I felt like people hesitated to use that term quite a lot. And like A Wrinkle in Time, I think it was banned in certain schools because of the witch. If I'm remembering correctly, one of the characters says, "I'm a witch," when really she's like a being from another planet, but that's just the most easy term for her to use because she's presenting as female. So I thought, oh, that's such a good point. And there was a lot of other moments too where it's like, why doesn't the best person for the job get to do the job? Why does it have to be the best male for the job and not just the best person, period? So I noticed that theme a lot and really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yeah, that I loved that, and also the fact that, like, the person who was being kind of, like, almost, like, pushed and groomed to become the next wizard didn't it was a boy, and he didn't wanna be a wizard at all. That wasn't what he wanted to be, and so I think that in addition to it being, like, a really, like, lovely, like, feminist tale for, like, girls that, like, kind of a, like, you can do what you're good at and, like,
Yeah.
enjoy it and all that kind of stuff. In addition, I think it was very much like a be yourself message as well, that it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so if what you love isn't what everyone is pushing you to do, and, just be yourself. You don't have to be shoehorned into what everyone's expectation of you is.
Yeah. It wasn't like an out of balance feminism, which was really
Yeah,
refreshing.
no, it wasn't saying, like, every male who's in charge is just the worst, It wasn't it wasn't like it
Because
was bashing males or saying that there shouldn't also be wizards. In fact, I think the main concluding thing that Faye came to the conclusion that, like, that's, like, there shouldn't just be one person in charge of this, we're stronger together. And so
yeah.
there was a story of unity and not just like, "Okay, well, I'm taking the power back from these people." It was like, no, we all should work together. And she wanted
Yeah.
to see the balance being restored of everyone being able to do magic who wants to do
Mm.
magic, not just whoever's apprenticed or trained, and all of this pressure lies on one person's shoulders.
Yes. That's so true too. That's so good. And her father was like her biggest inspiration. And her father was the one keeping the castle going when the
Yeah.
wizard was too busy just trying to hide and recover, from
Yeah.
all of the work that he was overworked from, which I really loved the character of Wizard West. I think maybe we should move into character stuff. I feel like we're talking about that anyways.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, I thought, like we mentioned, the setting as the character, really loved that. And like I said, the character growth of Wizard West was really fun to follow because it had ups and downs. It wasn't like straight, he didn't just stay the same. He didn't just straight get better. Like, he would have like a self-revelation and then he would like backtrack. And then you would find out, oh, it's not him, so it was a fun journey seeing his character growth. I really enjoyed
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
What
I
about
liked
you?
it. I liked it too. He ended up being one of my favorite characters. There were times where I was, like, really annoyed with him, but it was because I was supposed to be, because
Mhm.
he was, like, really standing in the way of, like, uh, good things happen. He was like, he kept trying to put on these competitions and stretching the castle to its limits by making it change and be able to, like, uh hold 500 people, all seemingly for his own vanity. because he didn't want people to know he was dead. But then you find out towards the end, it was like, okay, well, actually, also the castle's weakening because now that he's dead, we need another wizard very quickly to, cast this spell to keep the Shadow Queen bound. So his concern was not only that it like looked bad for him. That's what everyone thought, and that's how he acted because I think he didn't want people to know like the real stakes.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a lot more depth. Like
He did.
The way that Ryan Graudin really, she lavished love on a lot of her characters, like equally. It wasn't, nobody was like a stereotype. And I think it shows her writing chops. It's like clear she's been in the industry for a while and she knows how to tell a good story. Like,
Yes.
her characters are speaking to other characters in other books. And it's almost like she's responding to other characters she's seen and taking her own refreshing kind of twist on it. So I thought it was so.
I did not feel like any of these characters were just like any character that I've ever read. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't feel like you could see the inspiration that she took from like Howl's Moving Castle and Harry Potter and Tuesdays at the Castle, but it didn't feel like any of them was like a carbon copy or her just like ripping off something. Like, it felt very fresh.
Yes, exactly. So many fresh elements.
Yeah, it was really fun. I really liked it. And I felt like a lot of the side characters, even like, the pastry chef girl and stuff and the maid, and like there were so many like side characters that also like I felt like were really well fleshed out for just being side characters,
Yes, that's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, I was gonna say something, but then I saw Dia's here. I got totally distracted.
I was wondering if you got to it or not, whether or not it came from the library in time or not. Claire's here, in case you were
your
wondering.
Biggest fan is here, Dia.
Yes, Dia, your biggest fan, Claire.
So okay, let's see. Okay, the only thing that we had left that we're like, we have to make sure we talk about it is, what do you think is going to be explored in book 2 or the rest of the series?
Okay, so we talked about this just a little bit before we went live. But when we get to the end, we have a character who was really kind of a bully and kind of a jerk, who is gunning for the wizard position, get kind of humbled towards the end and kind of works with everyone else. But then he's mad still when someone else is appointed as apprentice rather than him. And so he kind of like leaves without talking to anyone. And I noticed at the very end, it talks about him dragging his trunk down the stairs and the lids rattling. And so I'm pretty sure he stole something. The Shadow Queen's crown, for those of you who have read this. I'm pretty sure he stole that, and that is going to cause some drama in the next book. So I could see potentially Faye leaving the West because she needs to go to the Wizards Conclave anyway to be approved as West's apprentice. So I could see her ending up in the castle where the Shadow Queen is bound, and it kind of taking that kind of a direction. I don't know if this is going to be more than like a duology, but at the end of the book, it does say to be continued. So there's at least one more book coming, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being like a trilogy. But I think Ryan Graudin's YA series, her like alternate history YA series she did, was a duology. So maybe this one will be too.
I feel like duologies are like more popular now. When I was growing up, there were not really duologies.
I know, it was always at least a trilogy, and a lot of them were like quintets for some reason. Like,
yeah,
like 5 was a really popular number of books.
Yes. A duology would be refreshing, but I will take as many books as you want to write. Ryan, please write more.
I think she said in the acknowledgments of this that this is her first middle grade that she's written, even though she's written YA and some other stuff. So
it was so good.
It was really good.
That's super impressive that it was her first grade. Wow.
She knocked it out of the park, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I forgot too. You wanted to talk about your favorite characters. I totally skipped over that.
Oh, no, you didn't. I was reiterating how much I liked Wizard West. I also just loved Faye as a character. I found her like really easy to root for and really like relatable and likable. So she was another favorite. But I didn't really dislike any of the characters. Like I really liked Puck, even though he was more of a side character. I really liked Max and Ilian, even though they were more side characters. So I really just liked the whole reading experience.
Yay. I kind of wonder if, oh my gosh, this is so great. I love that song.
She's obsessed with this song right now. It's her favorite song right now.
Oh, so that's so relatable. It's an amazing song.
It is. You sent it to us. That's how we know about it.
Yeah. Is it Boy Next Door?
It is.
Who is it? It's Boy Next Door. I'm trying to anyways. Distracted again. What was I get? Oh, dang.
These comments have nothing to do with conversation.
You guys, you're killing me, Smalls. Oh well, I don't remember. It's gone. Okay, so I remember now. Okay, what I was gonna say is, I wonder if future books in the series might focus more on some of the side characters. Like, I feel like Ilian could have her own book. Like, I would love that if she did. But even if not, I think by the end of the series, however long it is, Ilian is going to be queen, would be my guess.
I would love to see Max's intellectual pursuits in more depth as well.
Yes.
That was really fun. Like the inventions he had and the things that he did. I just thought that was super cool. So it would be fun if they each had their own book. But I think even if they don't, I think they'll be together. I think it'll still kind of be the trio of them.
Yes, I think that's true. That would be so great if there was a book for each of them. Like, because just being in the workshop would be super cozy and fun.
I also want a prequel of Faye's dad.
Yes,
as Apprentice and the love story with her mom. I would love that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, there's so much room for expansion here.
There is, because I loved her dad because he's gone for the entirety of the book because he's on like a dangerous mission, but she's continually remembering back to conversations they had and things that he taught her. And he's back at the very, very end of the book. And just like, even though he was barely in this book, like physically present in the book, he was still such a strong character presence and his influence on Faye. And I just loved it.
Yes. And when he came in by the end, both were kind of like, are we gonna get to see him? And we did. So.
I was kind of wondering if we were gonna, because he went into like a place called the conservatory and it was dangerous. And I was kind of wondering if when we were getting to the close and he wasn't there quite yet, I thought that maybe they would be journeying into the conservatory to rescue him in book 2, but he was back. So that's where I would have thought it was going otherwise.
Yes, she surprised us with that one. So you said the conclave likely we might see in the future, and I wonder if we might get more explore. And you said the conservatory too, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
Future potentially. I don't know how this would fit into a whole nother plot, but I would love to see more exploration of the closet. Can someone get lost in the closet for a while? Like, that sounds super interesting. They have a system now, though, so I don't know how they would get lost. But,
I don't know. It would be really funny if Wizard West insists on finding a special outfit for Faye to wear to the conclave, and they just get lost in there trying to find it.
I want to find out what more of the outfits do.
That was a really fun element and like wildly imaginative. I really loved that.
That was one moment where I was like, oh my gosh, this is going dark. When they were in the closet.
That was one of the darkest moments, I think.
But yeah, I won't spoil anything. But that was a tense moment.
I spoiled a little bit of some of this, but our thought was that, people who are going to watch this back are probably going to be people who read it. So
yeah,
we warned you when to click off if you haven't read it.
Very true. Very true. Something else that I forgot to mention this to you before, Tiffany, but I really loved the chapter titles. They were super fun.
They were.
And they were parts of the chapters, like, but it just
Mhm.
really made me so curious. Like, someone to fill these phenomenal shoes. I was like, okay, that's like a fun twist on the phrase,
Yeah.
shoes. And the unholy worm,
Mhm.
So they're elements of the book, but I just thought they were really fun.
Yeah. Another something I forgot to mention too is I loved the fact that when they're working on, like the truth potion or serum or whatever for that portion of the contest, I
Mhm.
love that it had the written out instructions of the
Yes.
ingredients and how to do it, and I meant to mention that when we were talking about cozy elements. I thought that that was very cozy.
Yes. Any recipe in a book, I think, is super fun.
Yeah, and also, like, there's a lot of references to books and how many books are in her house everywhere, and, like, references to different, like, books that she and her dad have read, for, like, magical gardening knowledge. I guess the gardening's pretty cozy too when you think about it. She's got, like,
Yeah.
wild topiaries that run around like they're deer, and she has to shape them into different things, and
The fact that the hero is a gardener, that's like super.
yes!
It's
Yeah.
same story
Yeah,
instead
you would
of
love
reverse.
that part.
Yes, I
You would
feel like
love
this
the
could be a
magical
theme book.
gardening.
Yeah. Okay. This, by the way, makes me super happy that you know Boy Next Door, Dia. Yay. Um, was there anything else that you wanted to mention before we sign off?
I don't think so.
I think we covered a lot of it. I'm sure somebody else would probably be able to come up with something else, and that's part of the fun of this book. There is so much that you could talk about. Like, there's so many.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like anybody could riff on this for a while. Yay!
Yes, it
Read
is.
it, yeah.
I think you'll like it. It's very cute. But not,
I
like, cutesy. Well, I keep saying it's cute, but it's not, like, little kid cutesy.
yeah.
I just thought it was so well done. Very appropriately middle grade.
I could see elements of it being like picture book worthy for sure, or like graphic novel worthy. But yeah, I
Mhm.
agree. It's not like cutesy all the time. It
Yeah.
has some depth, and some scarier moments, but it's
It's
still
it's
cozy.
cute in the way that Howl's Moving Castle is cute, where there are elements where you're like, "Aw, I love that," but not like the whole book is cute, you know what I mean? So that's good comparison.
Yes. um, well, I think that's about the end for us, but please, if you have any more thoughts, leave them in the comments because we'd really love to hear your thoughts on the book. And thank you, huge thanks to Ryan Graudin for the digital arcs of the book.
Yes, thank you.
I really appreciate it, and at least I can speak for myself. I would love the sequel
Me
when it
too.
comes out. So maybe we'll do another live show.
Maybe we'll
But
read it in a more timely manner this time.
yes, we'll try to get to it quicker. Sorry about that. Anyways, all right, everybody, thanks so much for coming, and take care until next time. And huge thanks to Tiffany for coming and chatting with me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
It's a much better experience reading it with a friend and talking about it with a friend.
Definitely.
Bye.